This is like my second time recording this video and like my billionth time recording this opening. So I'm very tired and low, if I'm honest. But I've got my iced coffee. You're so welcome for that audio and weird eye contact I decided to make. But yeah, I decided to come home and do something I've been very much looking forward to, which is the gender tag. What am I doing with my hands? The gender tag was invented by a YouTuber, Ashley Wilde, about, gosh, I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe. At least 2, probably. But I've been meaning to get around to it, and I just didn't. But here we are now. I've got a cowlick situation. I'm trying to grow my hair out, bear with me. Okay, so, first question. How do you self-identify your gender, and what does that definition mean to you? Well, here's the thing. I am out to the majority of people in my life as a trans man. However, I personally feel more comfortable identifying myself as non-binary. The people that I'm out to as a trans man are generally like my family and older people I know that can barely grasp the concept of transness, so I'd rather not explain non-binary identities to them, so I just cut a long story short and say I'm a trans man. Which, you know, isn't a lie. I'm trans-masculine. I need to get this laptop out of the shot. But I am more comfortable identifying as non-binary. I don't really identify with a particular identity under that umbrella, like, say, gender fluid or agender or what have you. But I am just quite comfortable with the umbrella term. You know, when people look at gender as kind of like a scale, like if you have feminine over here, masculine, and androgynous midpoint, I've always described myself as about halfway between the androgynous midpoint and halfway between masculinity. And, you know, gender isn't really as clean cut as that. It's not a direct line, it's more like a big... But that's how I explain it to people. Next question. What pronouns honor you? I love the way that that is phrased. What pronouns honor you? I much prefer that phrasing to what are your preferred pronouns. That's a huge pet peeve of mine, because like it makes it sound like they're optional. But anyway, the pronouns that honor me are he, him, and they, them. Describe the style of clothing that you most often wear. In a word, bad. I have a very eclectic sense of fashion. I call myself interested in fashion. I'm interested in many types of fashion that aren't always conventional. I love pretty much all the colors, neons, pastels, earth tones, crazy patterns, whatever. Honestly, I enjoy most things. But often, unfortunately, I do find my outfits are dictated by how I feel about my gender at the time. So if I do feel particularly dysphoric, I will often sacrifice a really otherwise neat outfit for one that is more typically masculine. Even if it's like really ugly and bro-ish, like just like basketball shorts and a t-shirt, then there's nothing wrong with that at all. But, you know, it's unfortunate when I set out like a really great outfit that I feel really good about, and then that dysphoria hits, and it's like, no, the cis can't handle me in this right now, you know? Trans people know. But on a day-to-day basis, I would describe my style as predominantly androgynous, and I believe my friend once described my style as like lazy refined. So I'm not sure what that means, but there you have it. Oh, I've been talking about fashion all this time and I haven't drawn attention to the peak of fashion that is my t-shirt I'm currently wearing. I got it for like $5 at a rummage sale. It's a dinosaur in space with like laser guns. Fashion icon. Number 4. Talk about your choices with body hair. How do you style your hair? Do you have facial hair? What do you choose to shave or choose not to shave? Well, as you can definitely tell with this flat mess, I don't really style my hair at all. I can grow facial hair, I'm very proud of it. I can grow a bit of a scruff around here, mustache, goatee. I can grow those things, but I don't typically because 1, everybody hates them, and 2, testosterone gives me very bad acne around this region, and facial hair just aggravates it a lot. So while I would like to have a bit of a goatee situation, maybe a bit of a scruff from time to time, just not possible. Thanks, T. As for body hair, it sounds weird to say, but I really love my body hair, honestly. I don't shave anywhere. I tried shaving under my arms like for the first time in years, like a couple weeks ago, and as soon as after I did, like that smoothness, I was like, no, this is bad, actually. I'm supposed to have the hair here. Ugh. Which isn't to say that shaving is bad or anything, it's just not for me. Coffee break. I keep accidentally leaving my laptop in the shot, so while it's there, can we appreciate my Dorian sticker? Isn't he lovely? Anyway, next question. Talk about cosmetics. Do you choose to wear makeup? Do you paint your nails? What type of soaps and perfumes do you use, if any? I used to be obsessed with makeup, like it was my main hobby and creative outlet for quite a long time. But nowadays I don't really wear it that often anymore. I certainly don't wear a full face that often. And when I say full face, I used to do, you know, the complete foundation, contour, highlight, wings, you know, crazy colors on the eyes, the whole lot. I very, very rarely do that unless it's a special occasion. Otherwise, I don't typically wear makeup aside from brows, and if the acne is particularly bad, then I'll cover that up with a bit of foundation, but that's about it nowadays. I'm not entirely sure if that is just out of laziness or if it's something to do with the fact that, you know, I'm predominantly perceived as male and society frowns upon that and yada yada yada. Who's to say? As for other cosmetics and stuff, I do paint my nails, but that's only because I'm disgusting and need to stop myself from biting them. I don't typically wear perfumes. I wear an awful deodorant just called Football. No, I lie. Sometimes I do wear a perfume, and that is the One Direction perfume that my grandma gave me when I was like 15, that I still have. It smells great though. Harry knew what was up. Next question. Have you experienced being misgendered? If so, how often? Yes. Well, before I went on testosterone, I was misgendered constantly. Before I started T, I always thought that I had quite a low voice, but like now that I look back at recordings of myself, I actually had quite a high voice. So I did get misgendered a lot before I started T. Nowadays, I don't really get misgendered at all unless I am wearing makeup and I'm completely clean shaven and I'm wearing something with a more feminine cut like this, for example. But it's very, very rare, thankfully. Well, actually, I guess you could kind of say that I also get misgendered constantly since I do identify as non-binary and most people don't really know what that is. So, yes and no, I guess. Do you experience dysphoria? How does that affect you? My dysphoria used to be a lot worse than it is now. Before I started testosterone, my main huge points of dysphoria were definitely my voice, my chest, and my period. Those have all drastically changed now. I'm very proud of my voice. I don't love my chest. I still get dysphoria about my chest, but so much less now that testosterone has made it a bit more flat. And I am getting top surgery at the end of the month, so bye chest dysphoria. But yeah, I would say I experience it a little. I think I predominantly do experience social dysphoria more than anything, because like I said, most people do not recognize non-binary genders or even know what they are, and I wish that was how I could be perceived, but I'm perfectly fine settling for being perceived as masculine. It's just, bummer, but whatever. Talk about children. Are you interested in having children? Would you want to carry a child if that were an option for you? Do you want to be the primary caretaker for any children you may have? I do not want children. I'm a firm believer in if you don't 110% want children, you shouldn't have any. And that is where I fall. I don't really want them, so I can't imagine having them in the future unless I grew a lot and drastically changed my perspective. But even then, I can only really imagine adopting an older child as I got older. I certainly would not want to carry a child. That would make me incredibly dysphoric, and it was something that I worried about for a very long time before I started testosterone. And when I did start T, they laid out, a couple of options for me to preserve my fertility, I guess you could say, and I was like, no, not an issue, actually, don't want anything to do with that. But to answer the rest of the questions, if I did have a family, I would not want to be the primary caregiver. I would want it to be very much a team effort. Takes the village. Talk about money. Is it important to you to provide for a family financially if you choose to have one? Is it important to you that you earn more than any partner you may have? Do you prefer to pay for things like dates? Are you uncomfortable when others pay for you or offer to pay for you? I guess you don't think about it too often, but money and paying for things on dates and stuff can be a very gendered concept when you think about it. It doesn't really matter to me whether my partner makes more money or less money or vice versa. It's really not an issue for me. I don't see why that would be a problem or why that would make people insecure, but sometimes it does, I guess. As for the dates thing, I don't know why this happens. I promise I don't push anyone for this, but literally every single date I've been on, or at least the vast majority, my date has paid for me or paid the majority of the bill or for whatever it is we're doing. I don't know why this happens, but it does always happen. And initially I am somewhat uncomfortable with it, I suppose, just because I do prefer everything be on equal footing. I think that's reflected in the majority of my answers for questions so far. I like things to be a partnership and equal, I guess, in how much you contribute. But I also can't say that I really mind people buying me things. I guess generally, for a whole answer to all those questions, I would say I'd like me and person to pay equally for things. Anything else you want to share about your experience with gender? my experience with gender. I've had many an experience with gender. Gender is such a complex concept and like controversial opinion, but in a lot of the ways I think gender is a prison. That's not to like rag on binary people at all, but it is so prevalent in our society and it dictates so much of what is acceptable and what you can do and who you can be, and it is restrictive in many ways, but I also understand that it's also can be very affirming and very important to people to explore and I don't know, just be. That sounds cheesy, but you know what I mean. I think gender is a unique experience to everyone, and we should all be able to comfortably explore our genders and identities, because these things are fluid. There is no such thing as a permanent state of self. We're always growing and developing, and it's perfectly acceptable if your gender changes over time, if it changes several times. You know, if you don't have a gender at all, that's fine. It's just a really interesting concept. And I'm glad this tag exists to spark that conversation, because I definitely think it's something we should talk and consider a lot more. This was really fun. I don't know why I put this off. Oh yeah, because I'm king of procrastinating. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the not great audio and lighting. I kind of sacrificed those so I could be in front of my pride flag. But it fits the theme of the video somewhat, because I'm a fake, I don't own a trans flag. Anyway, that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!